Eventually the time came to return to the Tobermory.
"We'll miss you," said Mrs. McTavish. "The house is going to seem very quiet."
"You can come to stay any time you like," said Mr. McTavish to Badger, Poppy, and Tanya. "Our door is always open." Badger, Poppy, and Tanya all said how grateful they were for the holiday. Then, their kit bags packed for the new term, the 5 friends were driven to the railway station, the first leg of their journey back to the school ship Tobermory. Arriving back on board, they were greeted by the familiar sight of Mr. Rigger standing on the deck, checking their names off against a list.
"MacTavish B," he said, "welcome back. MacTavish F, welcome back. Tompkins, welcome back. And Taggart and Herring," he said, referring to Badger, Poppy, and Tanya. "There you are too. Welcome back to the Tobermory."
Ben and Fee took their kit bags to their cabins and stowed their gear. It was much easier this time than at the beginning of the previous term, as they knew exactly where things should go. Then it was up to the sick bay, where they were asked whether they had suffered from any coughs or sneezes while they were away.
"We can't be too careful about coughs and sneezes," said Matron. "Bring one cough or sneeze back on board, and before you know it, the whole ship will go down with coughs and sneezes. Look what happened with Bartholomew Fitzhardy. If we hadn't isolated him, the whole ship would have had infectious boils."
At dinner that night, with the whole school assembled in the dining hall, Captain Macbeth spoke about what lay ahead.
"Now listen to me," he began. "I hope you've all had a good break and are ready for the new term. Is everybody looking forward to it?"
The whole school answered with one voice.
"Yes, sir." "Good," continued the captain. "There's going to be a lot to do because, as you know, we're going to be making a long voyage. That will mean a lot of hard work. Is everybody ready for hard work?"
Again there came a swelling chorus of "Yes, sir." But was everyone so enthusiastic? Absolutely everybody? Not quite. Because if you had looked at the upper deck table, sitting there at the end of it in their usual places, were the 3 well-known troublemakers, William Edward Hardtack, Geoffrey Shark, and Maximilian Flubber. Their lips moved at the same time as everyone else's, but they were not saying, "Yes, sir." Far from it. Hardtack was actually saying, "You wish." Shark was saying, "That'll be the day." And Flubber was saying, "Give us a break." But Captain Macbeth saw and heard none of this as he continued with his speech.
"This term, our destination is the Caribbean Sea. As you all know, this is the sea that lies off the southern part of North America, just above the top of South America. It is full of islands, some of which you will have heard of, and others whose names might not be so well known. We shall be sailing from the top of the Caribbean to the bottom, and will be visiting some of these interesting islands."
There was a murmur of excitement at this news.
"Yes," said the captain. "It's going to be an interesting trip, especially for those of you who like swimming in warm blue water."
This brought a cheer and an enthusiastic bark from Henry, who was wagging his tail enthusiastically at the captain's side.
"That's so clear, you can see the sand below and the fish as they swim past."
There was another cheer at this.
"And for those who like coconuts."
Loud cheering.
"And steel bands."
More loud cheering.
"And beaches with more shells than you can imagine possible."
Prolonged clapping and cheering. Once the captain had finished his address, dinner was served. Cook had outdone himself and had prepared a fine meal of fish served with fried potatoes, buttered pumpkin, and spicy beans. For dessert, he had made a traditional naval pudding stuffed with